What up, guys? This is the PTS Oculus, and I heard a lot of good things about this weapon, and this will be the last PTS video. I am very excited to see the weapon reworks. They are all basically buffs for practically every weapon. The only weapon that really didn't get a buff was the heavy plasma incinerator, but the Oculus was already a good weapon, which is kind of interesting. This was the first weapon that I used for Vanguard, and I never looked back, to be completely honest. I definitely like using the Melta and the Instigator, but yes, as you can see there, those last perks for the Oculus are insanely powerful. And yes, the Oculus for Vanguard was the first weapon I leveled up for it, and I definitely just enjoy the, basically the fire rate for the weapon, but the accuracy for it isn't too bad where you can't use it in, medium range situations. And I just think it's a really agile weapon to use with Vanguard as well. You can kind of jump around and use it. You can hip fire it. You can go for headshots. It's very versatile. And I just think it's a great weapon. Oh, look at Fortitude on Vanguard, which is absolutely insane. I just love seeing Fortitude. We just need to put Fortitude for every class for the prestige perks. I mean, the option is there, Now, this is the operation we will get in patch 7, and the desert can definitely be a struggle. You can see these snipers out in the open over there. And yeah, be careful with that slime that the Ravener is kind of just dripping all over the place. Now, dude, look at that. Also, look at that parry. That parry worked, but I didn't get the gun strike, which is insane. Not too sure why that happened. But still, I make sure that I have healing for these extremist executions. And not to mention, the damage that was able to stack on me there was because of the Trigon Prime hitting me. So that is going to be the challenge for this operation, is to basically how well your team is with playing around these tunnels. The Trigon Prime can seriously just stun you and then just knock you into another attack. It's definitely something you have to adjust to when you are running this operation. And yes, the Oculus I heard a lot of good things about. Some people were saying it was like the best weapon in the PTS, and I think, honestly, after using it, I definitely think it's up there. Basically, just the overall DPS with this weapon is really good, and I never really had issues with using it from medium range situations. And not to mention, with the grapple being the grapple, you can get up pretty close as, really, really easy. I think that's it. That is basically Vanguard's specialty, is close range combat for the most part. I mean, it does have the Melta. The Melta is a pretty good weapon, but the Oculus just appealed to me because I felt like it was the closest thing the Vanguard had to a, like a bolt rifle type weapon. But it is a bolt carbine, by the way. The Oculus is basically a scope bolt carbine that has pretty good accuracy, something like that, right? The range damage on it isn't the best, but it's actually it's still usable. And then not to mention, you have the grapple to buff your damage anyway. And yes, the combat knife is getting some nice melee damage here on this major. Gotta make sure you go for those heavies after you get a couple flurries in there. That's basically the fun way to do it. But yes, the Oculus was basically the overall damage for the weapon was practically buffed. And now, I did mention before, I did have unmatched zeal. I get hit with a couple weird situations in this operation. So right there I get hit by, and of course I get hit by the unblockable attack, but yeah, look at the contested health right there. I even went for the execution at a good time to get my contested health back, but for whatever reason it drained, and luckily this bulwark was really, really good with their banner. We have a great set of team perks right there. Now, this room, be very careful of when this operation hits the game. Definitely be careful of this room, because situations like that, the spore mines, there's not a lot of places to go. You know what I'm saying? So basically, the spore mines can cover up your entire movement area, and you can get hit by a lot of damage. But yeah, this is basically a great situation for the Oculus, though, to be completely honest. I just want to make sure I get those parries, get those gun strikes. I really only need a couple of shots, a couple of headshots in order to get a nice execution with the parry gun strikes. And not to mention, this weapon is also pretty good at taking out gaunts. So the weapon, again, is just very versatile, and I've really enjoyed using it for the Vanguard. I also like the way it looks. The Oculus is just, I don't know, it feels reliable, if that's the way I can put it. The Instigator for the Vanguard, at least right now for the vanilla game, doesn't feel very good. And then the Melta, the Melta definitely has its specialties, and I still think the Melta is a really good weapon for Vanguard. So, I'm not hating on the Melta or anything. The Melta, the Melta rifle is very, very powerful. But something about the Oculus just felt very familiar to me. Basically, the first class I ever really played in this game was Tactical, and I just really enjoy basically the weapon arsenal in the game. So whenever I'm able to appreciate a weapon that I haven't really played a lot, I always just, that always stands out to me when it comes to the replayability of this game, is basically just jumping from class to class and really basically appreciating what basically what their kit is. And I think the Oculus is one of the best fitting weapons for the Vanguard. I don't play the Vanguard a lot, but the Oculus just felt like a very, it basically had a lot of different uses. You can deal with Minorus and Majorus with it, and Terminus, if you can get some nice gun strikes. The damage overall for the Oculus is just very dependable. And you can still stay pretty, you can stay aggressive and athletic using the weapon. You can definitely get some nice dodging out of the aims and everything. You don't have to worry about you don't really have to worry about getting swarmed too much when you use the weapon. I do think maybe it could use a little bit of an ammo buff, but like every weapon could use an ammo buff sometimes. It really depends on what the game throws at you. But yes, getting hit by that spore mine was definitely rough, and I don't know if you noticed, but I had to help my teammate over to one of the generators. But I honestly wasn't very worried about my health. My health is very low here, but we were able to get the zone throw. And yeah, I was going to get healed by Unmatched Zeal anyway, but the Vanguard dropped the perfect banner. This was a great bulwark. The banner usage from this bulwark was very, very accurate, and I just, definitely gotta appreciate a good bulwark here and there, because otherwise I would be in a pretty rough spot when I get hit by that. Dude, getting hit by that follow-up was definitely rough, because what happened there was, instead of the parry, I basically was just a little bit late, and I was only able to block. But with that, the Biobor can still just, like, stagger you. So even though I'm not, like, getting directly damaged, I still practically get practically an unblockable stagger right after that. So you definitely have to be on your toes when you're fighting Biobors close range. That's something I'm definitely starting to learn more about. The Biobors are very, very quick to go after you with their melee attacks. And yes, that was a great Melta there. And I don't know if you noticed, but I did get my grenade back for that, because there was enough enemies that got, hit with the Melta. And basically, I think with Vanguard, if you take out like 10 enemies very quickly, you can get your Melta back, something like that. So yeah, the Melta for the Vanguard is definitely a nice a grenade to use. And I love how there's just two other majors that just started following there. And I was just like, all right, I'm just going to leave really quick. Let's meet up with my teammates. But yes, we did end up running into a Ravener here. This operation is definitely going to be a interesting run through with randoms who aren't too sure what to expect with it, because not everybody's watching the PTS footage, and not everybody played the PTS and know every corner up until the boss fight. There's definitely going to be some interesting moments where you can likely run into extremists because you are waiting for somebody. In this situation, my teammates were waiting for me. But I do know where I'm going. But still, I feel like there's going to be a lot of unnecessary extremist battles for the first day of this operation. And then not to mention the boss fight. But I will say, I am definitely ready. Oh yeah, this was another great banner, definitely a For the Emperor for that one. Was able to get the zone throw out, and then the bulwark just, negating all of the heals that Unmatched Zeal is doing. But still, I was able to get some use out of Unmatched Zeal in this operation. But yes, the boss for this operation. It's definitely going to be interesting seeing how many teams are going to get to this point with maybe barely any healing. Sheesh, we will end up we will end up definitely in some, you know, sticky situations when it comes to this boss fight. I definitely can see that coming.
One down.
But regardless, I'm definitely excited to see what Trigon Prime has to offer. Invigorating Icon still obviously is going to be useful to get through this operation. And as far as what to expect, I definitely think the, you know, Trigon Prime is going to be a harder version of Hive Tyrant. So maybe get some Hive Tyrant practice in there. But yeah, this is going to be rough. this boss fight, getting to this boss fight with full health is going to be a rough pull when it comes to playing with randoms. But yeah, I was able to crack 10,000 damage pretty effortlessly with the Oculus. The Oculus is a great weapon. Patch 7 Oculus, definitely use it.